Welcome to the Callaway Golf Podcast. This is unquestionably the most star power we've ever assembled for our podcast. We have Marc Leishman, Danny Willett, Jim Furyk, and last but not least, Henrik Stenson. Thank you guys for joining us, taking some time out of the day.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right,
Good to be here.
Callaway Golf
Hey,
Podcast,
Jeff.
one of the many podcasts we have on the Callaway Golf Network. Yeah, Jim?
Don't you think that Phil Mickelson's going to be a little upset when you just started? So we have more star power on this, and he's not here.
Oh,
Don't you
that's a
think he's
good
gonna be a little
point.
bummed about that. I mean,
He might be, but Phil, if you want to text Bjorn and get the link, you're welcome to join us as well. We're not going to hold anyone off of this one. We have lots of great content coming out on CallawayGolf.com, tons of it starring these guys that we've shot over the past couple of years. But really, it's just a chance to kind of talk to you guys on kind of the strangest Masters Thursday I can ever remember. Danny, as someone who, obviously this week means so much to you, being a Masters champion and stuff. What's the week been like? Kind of just surrealness of kind of what we're all doing.
I've not had any bad shots this week, which is a nice one. No, it has been a bit surreal. It's been, it's been nice. There's been a lot of things on the Golf Channel, on Sky Sports and stuff where you can watch in, and they've done a 2016 recap today, and I was in with Doherty on Sky Sports doing some stuff with that today. So watched a par 3 tournament yesterday. So Nicklaus's grandson now the ace on 9 in the par 3 tournament. They're still trying to do lots and get it out there, but yeah, it's obviously very strange times, but yeah, hopefully everyone's safe and this can all get back to normal at some point, and we can hopefully get back there.
And Marc, for you, I've seen lots of pictures of you cutting the grass, getting a lot of time on the tractors up there. How have you been staying busy, and how's the homeschooling been going?
Yeah, we got the 3 kids at home. They're off school until September, I think. So been learning a lot about second grade subjects and all that. Cutting a lot of grass, a lot of garage hockey. Played golf yesterday for the first time. So just enjoying the time with the kids and my wife, really. I haven't really had an off season with the way the Australian schedule works and the US schedule for about 12 years. So kind of embracing it, trying to take that as a positive, and because there's not a whole lot of positives in this. So I'm looking at that as one and trying to keep things, just trying to look at that to keep us all sane.
And Jim, what have you been doing? This I think you said right before we started, this is not a normal time of year for you where you've been away from the golf course as much. Tell people kind of what you've been up to.
yeah, really just hanging out with the family. There's, I think we're on the road so much, we travel so much, we don't get large blocks of time at home, and this is really at home, right? You're not leaving, you're not hardly going to the store. Honestly, I'm like on tour, I'm like the most organized person probably there is. I always get teased that I have like the neatest locker on tour. But my like workshop, my office, everything I do in the garage is a complete mess here. So I've been like hanging shelves and putting stuff together and just getting things organized. And I'm about 1/10 of the way there. So, if this lasts like another 6 months, I'll have it all set up and ready to go.
That's the hard part about a new house, right? You got all this stuff you got to do.
Well, yeah, it's nice though. It's nice. 2 things. I love my family. I'm hanging out with them, and we built a new house a couple years ago, and I love the house. So it's a good thing because we're spending a lot of time here.
Perfect. Henrik, I've heard reports that you are the strictest homeschool instructor in the country. And in fact, most of your kids have received detentions day after day. Can you refute these reports? And how is your homeschool situation going?
Yeah, I mean they actually started that pretty quickly after we got cancelled up at Sawgrass. So it was, I think, the midweek of the week after they started, and they're doing a good 3 or 4 hours a day on the computers and in their books. So their teachers they've been pretty hard on them. I'm probably not that hard. I try and help out a little bit with getting them out of bed for some of the Zoom meetings and the call-ins and things like that. But they're doing a good job, and I think that's a big challenge for everyone. I mean, we're so used to having the kids in school, and all of a sudden they're at home, and they gotta. Yeah, it's a little bit harder, I guess, for a parent to try and get them to do the work than it is for the teacher in school. I would imagine, at least, but it's certainly a challenge at times. Other than that, it's like the guys are saying, I mean, there's a lot of negative. There's a big negative in all of this, but we try and see the positives. Spending time with the family is one for sure. Like Jim said, I'm the same. I got my garage and my closet, and there's a few things that's certainly been neglected over time and needs a bit of tidying up. So there's some projects to be done, and then I'm just trying to at this point more be into my workouts and doing them at home. And I have to admit, I think I've been more tired from some of the home workouts than I've been maybe when I come from the gym at times. So I think we're getting some good work done on the physical side as well to try and stay in shape.
Nice. So we got a bunch of Facebook and Twitter questions coming in. So let me just kind of start rifling through them. Scott Anderson on Facebook wants to know, what countries are you guys all in right now? You guys are all in.
I think
the US,
it's a
right?
simple answer. Yeah, it's an easy answer for that at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are all in the US.
Yeah.
All right, next one from Mark Hasty. This is for Marc Leishman. He wants to know the yard routine. He wants to know how you're keeping that yard looking so good, because he saw your recent post of the tractor going in the green, the home green there. What are the secrets?
Yeah, the recent post, it's coming out of dormancy, so it's a pretty good time of year actually. I'm normally only here for a week and then gone for a couple. Just trying to fertilize as much as I can and get it to come out of the ground. It's kind of coming out of dormancy, but just making sure it's all level, top dressing, pretty much keeping the weeds out. Apart from that, there's not much you can do. So all the hard stuffs now, shoveling sand and coring it, but the fun stuff will come in a week or two when I start mowing it.
Steve Reed says, can't wait to have you all back on the course and missing all you guys. Stay safe. We echo those sentiments as well. How do you guys, just whoever wants to take it first, how do you guys stay sharp during this? Because we don't know when we're coming back. And I'll start with you, Jim. How do you, because so much of golf is routine, right? And you talk about how organized you are, but just the mental approach of knowing, okay, this is Augusta week, and I know I'm going to have my Augusta routine, and then I'm going to either play Hilton Head or I'm not, and then my schedule keeps going. The unpredictability of what we're going to see, how are you mentally kind of preparing for that?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like the longest rain delay ever, right? You always have to be ready to go, but you never know when it's going to happen. So I've kind of chosen to really stay at home and be with my family, and I've taken some long blocks off in the winter in the past, where I'll go 3, 4, 5 weeks without touching the club. I have a synthetic putting green in the backyard. Leash, you actually don't have to shovel sand and mow it. It actually is pretty nice all the time. I want to think about that. I've been putting a lot. My putting's been a little bit weak the last 8 months or so. I've been a little unhappy, so I've been really working hard on my strokes, putting a lot in the backyard, trying to stay sharp. And I guess I have a club in my hand. I'm trying to make some swings, but it's going to be tough. To kind of have that feel, to kind of have that. Without being at the golf course. I don't know if everyone else is playing or not, but without being at the course, it's going to be tough to keep your game sharp. And even so, I think we'd all agree that you stay sharp in tournament golf, right? When you put yourself under the gun, under pressure in tournament situations, that's how you stay sharp, and that's going to be tough for anyone to do.
Danny, same question.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of training, a lot of Peloton stuff, a lot of gym stuff, trying to keep fit and strong. And then the same as all the other guys, really. It's an interesting time. I think to stay sharp is probably at the back of most of our minds, because, the earliest this is going to be out of is probably in the next 6 or 7 weeks at the very earliest. So using this time to actually, to be with the kids, to be with Nick at home, spend proper time, it's a different kind of concept. Usually when I take my time off, it's usually in December and it's freezing cold in England and we're seeing family and friends and trying to slot everyone in here and there. But this is like real good quality time with just us four. We haven't, we don't really leave the house a great deal. I've seen Foles probably 6 times in the 3 weeks, and, obviously doing proper social distancing. We're just, we're going through a few swings and a few moves, but not really putting loads of pressure on trying to do everything, as much as possible, because we don't really know when we're going to go, and there's no point in, kind of getting too stringent on it and getting too annoyed if things aren't going great, just because, there's nothing really to go at just yet. So yeah, just trying to stay, like I said, more for me, it'd be body stuff, trying to keep the body fit and strong and make sure that there's no injuries, underlying in that, and so that you can get rid of all that. So when the gun does go and we actually start to play, we're going to hopefully have 3 months of real good, solid fitness work underneath our belt, which is something I've not been able to do since turning pro, is have that length of time training without the worry of being stiff the next day, and trying to play competitive golf. So I think when the schedule finally does get released, and we know we're definitely going to play, we're going to all have 2 or 3 weeks, I would have thought, notice. And that's probably then when, you really then start the grind back as to get the game sharp.
All right, Danny, just opened up a can of worms. Favorite Peloton instructor and biggest. I live on the thing, so.
No, I'm a climber. I've discovered that my legs don't go fast enough, but they can push quite a lot of power out. So I'm all about the hill climbs.
You got to try Power Zone. The Power Zone training. I'm addicted to that thing. It's the best.
Yeah,
right, we'll talk for 2 hours some other time. We'll just keep going. Henrik, question for you from Clayton Anderson. Is the 3-wood off the tee an intimidation strategy for other shorter guys when you blow it by their drivers?
Absolutely.
Excellent.
No, no. I mean, it's been a faithful club for me for many years, and I've had a lot of good both tee shots and second shots into greens, obviously with the old trusty there. So yeah, it's been something that's worked out pretty well for me. A couple of different reasons. I said sometimes the driver hasn't been cooperating as well as I would have liked it to do, and some other times it's just something that fits more for the type of golf course that we play and so on. When I don't shape the ball a lot, it's been pretty handy to hit something 280, 290, sometimes even straight out, and you don't have to worry about any dog legs and putting any side spin on it. So yeah, it's done me good over the years.
Jim, question for you from Chris H. Golf. He's looking forward to seeing your no laying up match. So I don't want to give away any spoilers or anything. Did you enjoy your time filming with the no laying up guys? Of course, some of the most popular content creators on the internet and golf space for sure. And recently you spent some time with them.
Yeah, I had a good time. That was all set up by Callaway, actually. They're huge Callaway supporters, and they live here in my hometown in Jacksonville. So great group of guys. It was really, we screwed off a lot. I mean, we had a good time, goofed off. It's a little goofy, but hopefully everyone finds it funny. And I won't spoil the outcome as well, but it was a good time. I've played with Solly a couple times since. He's a pretty good stick, actually.
Yeah, I think he's trying to qualify for either some elite amateur tournaments, or I think he has a dream of potentially qualifying for a U.S. Open one of these days.
I got you. Yeah, I've played golf with him when he shot under par, from the back tee. So he's a good player.
That was when we were supposed to crush his dreams. Okay, we'll let him get off easy. Mark from Lee Stevenson, is it hard to find?
Qualify.
Oh, okay, good. Is it hard to find motivation to practice when you have no event to practice for? I mean, you have the Leishman Lager Open you could practice for. You just kind of create.
Yeah, that. I've got a perfect practice putting competition tonight.
Oh, nice.
But I guess it's this is one time where you can kind of not be sharp for a little bit golf wise. I'm kind of not doing any practice, but I'm still trying to keep my body in shape, like Danny was saying, trying to get better that way. Injury prevention, just put a padlock on the fridge and try and stay away from that, because that's that's hard for me to stay away from when you're bored. So yeah, Leroy's actually a good mate of mine from back in Australia, so I'm glad to see you on here, Leroy.
Nice. All right. One fun thing that you guys can participate in tomorrow, or any one of you guys listening, is we're having a kind of a major trivia question. I don't know if you guys remember the HQ trivia game that was hot for a brief minute, but we're kind of bringing that back tomorrow. CallawayGolf.com/fanbeat. If you go there now, you can watch an Amanda Balionis video that shows you how to play the game. You can answer the first question and be registered. The game is tomorrow, April 10th at 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 on the West Coast. CallawayGolf.com/FANBEAT. Prizes include a Maverick driver, Jaws wedges, Chrome Soft golf balls, and more. So I figured I would ask you guys a couple questions to give everyone an example as to what they may be seeing at home. So question number one, which of you four has the lowest career round in the Masters competition And what was that score? I'll start with guesses from Henrik. Do you know which two of you have the same low round there and what it was?
I think that would be myself and Mark.
And what was the score?
65.
Okay, you are wrong. Danny, would you like to guess who has the lowest score of the foursome?
Well, if Henrik's shot 65, then it's obviously lower than that. I mean, Jim's played there a bunch. Leisha's played there. I mean, they've all played there probably more than me, actually. And my lowest is 67, is it? So I'm going to, I don't know. Who's had a sneaky round? Let's go. Let's go Leish 64.
All right, Mark and Jim, what is your lowest round at Augusta National?
I think it's 66, but I don't know. I'm going to go with Leish at 64. Henrik said he shot 65, so I got to go with Willett.
Mark?
I think my lowest is 66.
It is.
Mate, yeah, I mean, Henrik reckons he shot 65.
Well,
so.
I want to know when Henrik shot 65. I think
No,
maybe
because I haven't done it. I don't think I've done that.
No,
I don't even know if I've done.
I'll say,
in fact,
I'll say me and Jim 66.
Well, you would be correct, and you would be potentially winning a Callaway Maverick driver, Jaws, Wedge, Chrome Soft Golf Ball, and more. You shot that in the first round of 2013, and Jim in the first round of 2009. All right, one more quick trivia
What did
question.
I shoot?
What have you shot?
Higher than 66. I have all kinds of stacks, but you know what, Henrik?
I'll trade it for a green jacket. I promise you that.
Yeah, Henrik, you are the only one of the foursome to make two eagles in a round. Do you remember which round you made two eagles at Augusta National?
Yeah, that was the first round in 2012.
Yes, you are correct. And
But
then
I finished with a quad.
Well, you did, but you had two eagles in the round, which was the question.
Yeah,
but he
I just
gave it all
needed that.
back.
I needed that to save up so I could use them for the quad at 18 in the trees.
Like
And
a
you got the nice
Seinfeld
crystal.
episode, you were even Steven at the end of that round.
Yeah, exactly. And then Danny shot a bogey-free 67 in the final round of his Masters win. Before Danny, who was the previous Masters winner with a bogey-free final round of 67 or lower?
Olasabal.
Good
Charles
guess, but
Schwartzel.
not correct. No, not correct. Mark,
Tiger.
you got a guess? Tiger, good guess, not correct. Mark, see if you can bring this one home.
Geez. Trevor Immelman.
The answer is the aforementioned Phil Mickelson, who now makes a mention in the podcast in 2010. I believe you'll be able to watch that on Saturday on CBS when they show some of these old Masters rounds. Yeah. So everybody tomorrow, get out to CallawayGolf.com/fanbeat, FANBEAT. Go take your chances at these trivia questions. What's great is some of you guys, I know Henrik, you did, and Mark, when you shot with us recently, you guys voiced some of these questions.
So all I can say though is that it's good things I'm getting chrome wedges and Maverick drivers for free, because I sure won't win any.
No, you won't be winning.
None of it has been any good.
But you did fool everybody. If we were playing a poker tournament, your bluff of calling the 65 definitely would have worked.
The bluff of calling your own 65 that you know you've not had was impressive.
Yeah. All right, let's get some more questions. Whoever wants to answer this one, speaking of wedges, this is from Baker Tree 1. For chipping, loose with release or tighter to minimize moving parts? Who wants to help Baker Tree 1?
Loose.
Mark?
Yeah, probably loose. You don't want to be tight when you're chipping. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next question from Mark on YouTube. I don't think it's Marc Leishman. Who's going to win this year's Masters? I guess the November Masters. They want you guys to prognosticate and fortune tell. Henrik, I'm assuming you're going to say yourself with your final round 65, which features
absolutely
multiple
couldn't have
eagles.
it any other way, could we? So if that happens, you heard it here first.
I love it. Normally you say Tommy Fleetwood, though, whenever you're asked to predict a winner.
Yeah, okay. Tommy Fleetwood, 65, bogey-free, final round.
Excellent. Danny, any predictions?
I mean, if Rory's probably sat at home in some of the best form of his life, so hopefully he can keep that going. He's going to be in with a good sniff. I think this could be the year that he finally gets his Grand Slam.
Yeah, Rory's been destroying me on the Peloton. I did that ride a couple Fridays ago, and his warm up first couple minutes were higher than I've ever achieved on the bike. Jim, who do you think we should be looking for the November Masters?
Yeah, I was thinking Rory too, but I got to think in November it's going to play extremely long and wet. It's going to be hard to get firm and fast, so I'm going with someone that really, really bombs it.
And Rory doesn't do that.
Well, I was, but he was already taken. I feel like we're just doubling up. So we'll go like how about Dustin Johnson?
All right, and Mark, what about you?
I reckon Xander Schauffele. He's been close a few times. Good player. Good bloke. Yeah, I'll go with Xander.
All right,
I like how we've all been really modest there and no one said themselves. I like that. We're all
Henrik
humble.
sort of did.
We're all humble.
Bogey 365. It's mine. Get your hands off.
All right. Next question.
Henrik's going to quad the last for 64.
It'd be great if I could predict myself, but I'm not even in the tournament yet, so that wouldn't work out too well.
Yeah, no, that would make it a limiting factor. That'd make a limiting factor. All right, Brent LaCroix wants to know, how often do you guys communicate with your coaches, and what suggestions do you have for aspiring club pros who want to be full-time PGA Tour coaches? So, Mark, you want to maybe take that first? How often are you working with your team, and any suggestions to some up-and-coming coaches?
Yeah, so golf coach Dennis McDade, he lives back in Melbourne. I see him probably 4 to 5 times a year, so say every 3 months. Second grade maths that I'm teaching my sons kicking in there. So yeah, but not. I don't speak to him that often. We go back and forth on text messages a lot, just about everything except golf. And then I've been with him 19 years, so don't feel like we work on too much new. It's all pretty much the same stuff. So once every 2 or 3 months, that's about when I see Dennis.
Right. What about you, Jim?
I talk to my father's my teacher. I talk to my dad often.
That makes sense.
He lives half the year in Jacksonville. We play a lot of golf. We play 2-3 times a week. And when he's in Arizona, we talk on the phone probably once a week about golf, about my swing. If I'm playing an event, we might talk 2 or 3 nights in a week. But quite often, I mean, I'm lucky to have Dad to be my teacher. And we talk about a heck of a lot more than golf, but it slips in there quite a bit.
Yeah, and Danny, you mentioned earlier you're still doing some safe social distancing work with your coach right now, but in a normal routine, how often are you working with your coach?
Yeah, me and Foles see each other quite a lot. We live on the same course, so we'll see each other probably three times a week on an off week, and then obviously at a tournament he's obviously there probably 15 weeks out of the year. So I see him probably a good bit more than what a lot of guys would see their own coaches. So but that's what it is. Hello, mister.
Oh, who do we have joining us now?
We've got little Zach with his new saber-toothed tiger. You're gonna say hello?
Oh, lost it. Yeah.
Hi, Zach.
Hi.
I like the saber-toothed tiger. Henrik, how about you with working with your coach?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta like most of these guys probably have more than one coach. I certainly do, and got Pete Cowan that helps me with the long game and the short game, and then I have Phil Kenyon back in England also that works with me on the putting, and then got another couple of people involved, and kind of my sports psychiatrist as well back in Sweden. So. We tend to work some at events, and they come out and see me here in Florida, or when I go back to Sweden in the summertime for a few weeks, I catch up with them there too. So it's kind of a rolling schedule, nothing that's like every month or every 3 weeks or whatever. We kind of make it a little bit as we go along, and when it fits into the tournament schedule and what needs to be worked on. So we kind of make it up as we go along to one part, and then try and plan ahead on a few things as well.
Next question from Marty W. for you, Henrik. When you win with your closing round 65 with multiple eagles, what will your champions dinner be?
It could only be one coming from Sweden. It's got to be meatballs, right?
Yeah,
I like that.
Swedish meatballs.
There you go.
I like that. Danny, how much time and effort did you put into coming up with your menu? I mean, because it's everyone like scrutinizes it pretty toughly.
Yeah, no, me and my wife did quite a lot. Nick used to be a chef, so we came up with stuff and trying to get a few bits of where we're from in there with the Henderson's relish and Yorkshire puddings, and try to come some local things that we would have ordinarily at home. So yeah, we thought about it a good bit, and it was nice. I think most of the guys enjoyed it and liked it, and it's always Bubba. If Bubba eats it, then you know that you've done an all right job. So as long as he doesn't
That's
send it straight back to the kitchen, that's the gauge.
That's the gauge. I like it. Hey, Jim, one question I want to ask you. One of these schedule kind of, I don't want to call them quirks at this point because no one knows what's going on, but there's the potential for a U.S. Open to end on a Saturday and then a Ryder Cup week to start on that on a Sunday, and then the Ryder Cup week start the next week. What do you think that would be like, having, as someone who's played and, won a U.S. Open and then captained a Ryder Cup team? What do you think that transition would be like, going from finishing a U.S. Open on Sunday to, it's not like it's a lot of travel, but certainly just the mental strain for those players?
Yeah, the U.S. Open is always it's a mental and physical test. I think we all want to kind of decompress after that week. And then you turn right into a Ryder Cup where, again, it's I think the greatest mental test as well. So, good news is it starts on Friday and both teams have to do it. So, but it's for sure. But I think we're all in the same boat. I mean, you have to kind of think that, we're going to compress a lot of events together in the fall, but the other option is not playing them at all. And I think all four of us would, hey, right now we just want to play golf. So if you're going to compress a bunch of majors and the Ryder Cup and throw them all together, I think we're all game. We just want to play.
Yeah, and Henrik, as an Open champion, because I know it's illegal to do any type of content with you without mentioning that you are an Open champion. What were your thoughts when they did cancel that for a year, as opposed to everything else, which has kind of been postponed?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a sad decision, but not something that's not been thought through properly, and all the different options been looked at. And I mean, the window for the Open Championship is certainly smaller than a lot of these other tournaments, because, like we said, we can play the Masters in November, but we're not going to be able to play an Open Championship in November. So, and given the situation back in the UK, and they obviously feel like just shifting it a little bit, not really going to give them much more chances of playing, I would imagine. So sometimes kind of enough is enough on the trying to figure it out, I guess, and you just have to be realistic and make sure that we can have a great Open Championship next year at the same venue, and just push everything forward by a year.
Yeah, and then you have the 150th, of course, will still be at St. Andrews. All right, this is for everybody. I'll start with you, Danny. Billy Connell wants to know, what is your favorite and least favorite hole at Augusta?
Favorite hole, 16. 16's a really good hole. Can have a really easy pin or a really difficult pin depending on the wind. I like 16, really good par 3. And then 4 is an absolute brute of a par 3. When they get that tee box all the way back there and took that tight front right flag, I mean, you're hitting 4-iron into a 3x3 yard square there. So yeah, 2 par. I think the par 3s around Augusta are fantastic. So yeah, they're 2 ones that jump out at me.
How about you, Mark? Same question.
I think 12's a great hole. It's an easy hole if there's no wind, and then it's probably the hardest hole on the course if there's a wind, because you've got no idea where it's coming from. So I think that's the best hole. But there's a lot of great holes, and I'm with Danny. I think 4's by far the hardest hole on that golf course. It's got me. Well, last year it wasn't too bad, but the years before that, I mean, if I had played that half decent, it probably would have been, might have had a chance at a couple more Masters.
Yeah, shout out to Justin Ray, who sent me some really cool stats to share with you guys. Jim, you're the only player of this group to hit every fairway in the Masters in a round. You've done it 3 times. How about your favorite and least favorite holes?
My favorite's 13, just from the risk reward. You can make a 3 or a 7. And my least favorite, I'm going to just keep piling on. I mean, what's my least favorite hole? Number 4, without a doubt. And everyone was very politically correct in saying it was hard. So I guess I'll leave it at that. It's hard. I don't know if the green quite fits the amount of club or the distance that we're hitting in there anymore.
Henrik?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll probably pick 11 just for the second shot. I think that's always an extra tickle when you're standing on that mound or kind of up elevated, and then you're going to hit that 4-iron or whatever it is down to that green with a crosswind. It's just such a hard challenge, that second shot, I think. So I'll pick that just because I'm a bit of a masochist. So I like to punish myself with a 4-iron on that one. Yeah. And I never been keen on these long par threes. I think the 8th at Sawgrass is probably the worst hole on that golf course, and the 4th is probably the worst one at Augusta. So 3-iron par threes and here, like we're saying, it's a green that's very undulated and it doesn't really fit that kind of club to go into that target.
It's going to be weird in November when you ace it the 4th hole to make your 3rd eagle of the day as you shoot that 65. All these negative thoughts about the hole.
Yeah, I'll still consider it being the worst one on the course.
Excellent. Mark, Eddie Guerra wants to know, what weed killer do you recommend for working on the lawn?
What weed killer?
I mean, doesn't that depend on the type of grasses that you're trying to kill weeds from, or the growing conditions?
You shouldn't have any weeds in your lawn.
Yeah, come on, Eddie. Get out there and take those weeds.
I mean, I sprayed Roundup on mine when it was completely dormant. So just sprayed it on the whole thing and made sure I didn't inhale any.
All right. I think I know the answer to this for Henrik, so we'll start with him here. This is from Morgan Klum. If you were stuck on an island with one club, what would it be? I mean, I would hope it'd be like a club and maybe a ball and a tee or something, but this only says one club. I'm assuming you take the trusty 3-wood with you, right?
Oh, if I'm stuck on an island, I'll take a sand iron, because there's going to be a lot of bunker practice on the beach, I think.
Oh, I like that. I like the way you thought through that one. Mark, how about you? If you're on an island, what club you taking with you?
Oh, I'll take a 2-iron, just in case there's any invaders. I can ping a 2-iron at them.
Okay, I like that. Jim, how about you?
Oh man, I don't know. On an island, I hit driver. I can hit it as far as I can, which isn't very far anymore, but I'll take the driver.
All right. Danny, how about you?
We'll go Seve style, eh? We'll try and hit some of those bunker shots off the desert beach with a 3-iron.
Oh,
I get them little 3-iron flop shots going.
All right. This next question is a very serious golf question. This is from our friend Bjorn, who refuses to use any of the social mediums and is texting me. Can anyone remember a round during which they totally lost the concept of the golf swing? And were they able to find it again after a few holes? If so, how? I'm assuming this is because this happens to Bjorn every time he plays, and he's just trying to get some free advice from you guys. So, Jim, any recollections where it kind of got away from you and then you got it back, and what you did?
No, I think always. I fired some really low rounds, actually having like the worst warm-up sessions ever, where I felt totally lost, and kind of hang in there the first couple of holes, and you find something in your swing that feels good, and lo and behold, end up shooting like 6, 7, 8, 9 under at the end of the day. So I definitely, I think the hardest part is we all have a kind of a way to just, if we're not hitting it that well or not playing that well, we can kind of get it around, right? You can bunt one out in the fairway and aim for the fat part of the green and kind of bide your time for a few holes until you start grooving a swing.
Yeah. Henrik, same question.
Yeah, I totally agree. I remember one time, this is actually way back. It's about 20 years ago. I'm playing a challenge tour event in Finland, and I'm hitting it so bad in the warm up. And then I went out, and I mean, I can't remember the score, but I'm pretty sure it was a bogey-free 65.
Of course it was.
Yeah. At least Henrik thought it was a 65. How about you, Danny? Anything
it felt like
it out there?
Yeah. I can't remember like losing it in a round and finding it again in a round, but definitely I think we've all had it. I had it in Morocco one year where I couldn't hit the driving range on the Sunday morning in the warm up, and it was pumping with wind on the King's course, and there's water, and I mean it's just a tough golf course, and I went out there and I think I shot 7 under that day, and I wasn't sure what to hit off the first. I was tempted to hit 7-iron off the first, but I didn't think I was in the fairway with that. So it's just
par 72
one, really.
Though, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so 65.
Yeah, always. It's
much
the best number you can shoot. It definitely wasn't bogey free.
Even if you didn't shoot it, it's still the best number you can shoot.
Yeah. No, so it's a strange one. We lose it and find. Well, people feel like they lose it and find it and all this all the time, but it's often it's just something little or even that they just need to get focused in. You know, a lot of the times we'll warm up pretty poor, and then, you know, you'll engage yourself a little bit more when you stand on the first tee, and you don't want to embarrass yourself too much. You might just focus that a little bit more.
Nice, Mark. Anything that you kind of recall that?
Oh, I mean, I'm sure there's been moments where I've completely lost it. The good thing is, if, you know, we lose it, and we're playing good before that, they generally stop showing us on TV. People don't see
There is that. There is that.
I had this conversation with my wife Audrey last night. We were watching The Voice, and I was just saying to her, what happens if you just forget how to sing when you're on this show? Like, you're just going to look like an idiot in front of everyone. You can't hide. You got to finish the song. So it's kind of a similar thing, I guess. But
or like forgetting the words.
The
words in the middle of the song.
Yeah, but I can't remember a specific moment where it's happened.
All right, a couple more questions, and we'll let you guys go. This is Callaway Golf Podcast. We would love you to subscribe, rate, review. Not you, Henrik. I don't want you to rate it. But wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Also, check out our other podcast, the Girls in Golf Podcast. They had a really great one with Sandra Gall the other day, Lex and Sarah. And Fitting Room Podcast, Nate Adelman always does an amazing job. Quarantine mailbag coming up. It's been really fun. All these fans have been emailing in their kind of fitting and tinkering questions because they have nothing to do but sit at home and tinker with their clubs. And Nate's going to be able to answer a lot of those. That'll come out next week. So subscribe to those podcasts as well. Bill Net wants to know, what fun formats should the European and PGA Tour use to make use of the available time from, say, the 1st of August to the 1st of December? I know, Henrik, one of the bummers I read the other day is that your and Annika's event is going to be postponed for a year. That certainly was a format I was most looking forward to this year. But if you guys could kick around some formats, that would be fun if we're trying to get a lot of golf into a short window of time. Anything you'd recommend that you guys would want to see?
Well, I mean, if I jump ahead there, I think it was obviously a shame that the New Orleans tournament, the Furyk tournament, got cancelled, because I think that's been something that's been a bit of a highlight for both certainly some players and fans over these last couple of years when it's been a team format. It's something different. It's been kind of in a good spot, I think, a couple of weeks after Augusta, and if you're taking Hilton Head off, then it's a good time to get going again and just have a bit of fun with one of your good friends and play a different formats. Going into this compact kind of schedule in the fall, if we now can get back as we hope, I don't know if there's going to be any room to throw something else in there. I mean, it's just going to be a bit of a shuffling around to try and get as many regular tournaments in as possible that's been postponed or cancelled before. So it's I don't know if we're going to see any new formats really.
All right, well, let me take this question then. John Sweat wants to know, how many golf balls do you have in your bag at the start of a round? And when do you take one out of play? Let me start with you, Jim. How many balls do you start off a round with in a typical tournament round?
9.
9. Okay.
So I take a ball out when I hit it in a bunker, groove marks from a wedge, and I never really play one for more than about 3 holes.
Okay, how about you, Mark?
I have 12 at the start of
that's confident.
Maybe because of that day that I lost it, that I can't put a date on it. Hit a few in the source and a bit of a phobia of running out of balls. So 12 new balls.
How about you, Danny?
Yeah, the same. Dozen balls, and then however many you use the day before, you kind of just top it up for the next day. So there's usually there's always 12-ish.
Right. I'm assuming Henrik keeps 65 in his golf bag, but what is the actual answer?
No, I'd say somewhere between 6 and 9 in general. Probably 7 or 8 would be a normal number. I thought Jim only carried 1, and I've never seen him lose 1.
Yeah, but he doesn't say. He says for when he gets scuff marks when he hits a perfect wedge and it takes some of the ball.
Yeah, okay.
That's always changing it for.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that.
These MD5s are just ripping it up.
Yeah, most aggressive groove in golf. All right, Golden Maker. Let's just say that we would have an LPGA, PGA Tour, or European Tour scramble. Which LPGA or LET player would you want to play the scramble with? Let me start with you, Mark.
Oh, geez. I reckon one of the Thai girls, Jutanagan.
Yeah, Jutanagan.
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, let's say Aria.
Are you? All right, Danny, how about you?
I think there's a real good player that's going to be around for a long time called Anne Van Dam, who looks real solid golfer.
Yeah.
So, we'll go with that.
How about you, Jim?
I'll take anyone. I want someone that bombs it. I want someone that hits it far. So
Henrik?
I hit it so short.
Yeah.
I just want someone long. I want to hit wedges in the greens.
Nice.
All right, I was gonna say the same as Danny, because Anne she's playing
she's a
and
neighbor,
practicing.
right?
Yeah, she's playing and practicing here. She can really give it a good smack. But since Danny already took her, I'll take Anna Nordqvist, and we keeping it Swedish.
Yeah, I mean, I think Inby Park would be great too, because all you have to do is get it on the green, and she's going to make every putt or leave you with like a little tap in if she decides to miss it. She would be someone that'd be great to play with.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
I'm sure Suzanne Petterson had come out of retirement for you, Henrik.
Yeah. Or Annika. Annika's pretty good. She did pretty good in her day.
Oh, was she any good?
She was all right.
She was all right.
Most people are old enough to remember. So.
We do remember how good she was.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, she was amazing. The problem is so many people, kind of forget. That's one thing that is kind of fun with all these old masters on, with 86 on yesterday, and they're going to show 1975 over the weekend. And I don't consider 2010 an old masters, but maybe it is. It's kind of cool to get a chance to kind of catch up on the history, because we're also kind of in the day-to-day of golf. Hey, I just want to thank you guys for taking some time. We're lucky at Callaway to have such great ambassadors. And I know Phil was disappointed he couldn't make it, Jim, but I'm really thrilled that the four of you guys could carve out some time today and join us.
Didn't want to downgrade the star power in this show.
No, not at all. I don't know. Plus, we didn't have a fire. No one has a fireplace to do a fireside chat. It just wouldn't be appropriate. But thank you guys so much for spending some time with us. This has been the Callaway Golf Podcast. We're going to be back next week. We have Will Gordon on Thursday, and I believe we're trying to put together a happy hour with Kevin Kisner on Tuesday. So we may have to start that one at noon or something like that, just to kind of keep it sort of safe. But we will do that. All right, one last question I'm going to sneak in there to each of you. What do you all use to identify your golf balls? What do you mark on it? Because I think that someone's trying to steal yours off a practice range, Henrik. This is from Michael McCallan.
Well, I used to line it up back in the day, so I always got a black line kind of over on the side of the golf ball. I don't use that really for lining up, but that was the way I marked it back in the day, so I just kind of carry on the same way. So I just got a line on the side of it. All
right, Danny, you?
I've got a green 16 and a green 10 on mine. So
I like it, Jim.
Usually have a line on the ball. If I don't have a line on the ball, I put 2 dots left of the number and 1 dot right of the number.
And why is that?
3 is my lucky number, so that's why you put 3 dots. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right,
why 2 left? Why not 1 left?
I've got 2 red dots, one either side of the Callaway V, underneath it. So one either side.
Perfect. I have a 65 that I write on the side of my golf ball in anticipation of the day that I see a 65 winning a major. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Is that the year you were born?
It was not. As you know, I was born the same year as you, and you are older than me because you just celebrated a birthday earlier in the week, and mine's not for another month and a half.
I think we should have a poll. Who looks the oldest, you or me?
I'm probably not going to win that poll. But I always do tell people that born in the year of 1975, between Henrik, Tiger, and I, we have a lot of majors. So
you didn't even get it right. Always trying to mess with me now.
Always trying. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for listening, everybody, and watching to the Callaway Golf Podcast. We will see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Guys.
Enjoy
Stay
it.
safe.
Thank you. Yeah. Likewise.
All right. I think Mark